Hi, Leonie. So just to answer your question, it's actually easier than you think. Probably in the past you would have needed an if-else if statement. But again, if you just rely on CSS to do most of the work and use the same class list function, you can basically achieve the same thing. So just to show you what I did, so here's your menu, and I'll just refresh it. Right, so that's your menu there, and if I click on the button, then it shows. I made the menu darker, and I would suggest that you do as well, because white text on a white or semi-white backing, or even a light grey backing, is going to be pretty hard to read. So I made the background a little bit darker. I think I made it 70%. The other thing is, you can see, so if you click on it, it fades and comes in. And I can tell it to do that slowly or quickly. At the moment, it's using half a second. But it's basically the same as I did with the navigation showing. It's really just CSS and just a tiny bit of JavaScript to do the rest of the work. So I basically created, now in this case, because you've got a rule that selects the image within the logo, which is what I suggest anyway, right? I might actually move this across, but I needed to be more specific as well about what we're targeting. So I created a selector for logo, and I created a special class called fade logo. And I used this feature called opacity. Now, opacity only works on images, right? So I'm doing this to the image, not the container. So basically all I did is added an opacity to the original rule that you created, and I also added a transition of half a second. And then to this rule, I added an opacity of 0, which fades it. And so if you toggle between those two, it should animate in and out. It's basically all you do. So, and as you can see, it works. Right. So, and you can make, like I said, you can make it slower if you like. So if I did say 1 second for it to fade or something like that, then you can see that it fades in and out pretty slowly. Yeah. So, and I think the effect doesn't look so great either. Animating is probably because of the semi-transparent block as well. It's over the top. But yeah, you can see that it's fading away and fading in. It's just a toggle. So it's exactly the same thing JavaScript-wise. If I go to my HTML, right down the bottom, all I did is just added this line. Now, I did have to do, because what we're doing is we're selecting an image within the logo class. And this is where it's really annoying, plain vanilla JavaScript. When you want to select nested objects, then you start having to create variables, and then from that variable select the next child and so on. And so it can be really annoying to actually select things in JavaScript just using plain JavaScript. So for a lot of this stuff, once it starts to get a little more complicated, I actually use jQuery instead, because I can make selections a lot quicker. But in this case, so what I needed to do is I needed to create a variable that holds the logo item. Okay, and if you look at the console there, so I'll tell it to show you what the console does. So let's save that. And here's my console. If I refresh, you can see that now it's selected the logo object, which has the image inside. So now I need to pick the image that's inside of that variable, right? So, and that's where I down here in this line, the logo, right? Dot get elements by tag name. So now I'm getting the image inside of the logo. And again, it's the same thing, because anything that has an S returns a list. So we need to do an index of 0, and then class list toggle, and then basically just add and take away that that class, and that's what it's doing. So just to show you, so there's the image there on the code, and if I click, you can see that it adds that class, and it takes away that class, and it animates between those. So adds, takes away, adds, takes away. There you go. So there's no if or else if statements in this case. In the past you would have. So if you create a switch, and then you'd have the switch on or off with a Boolean variable, true or false, and then if it's on, then turn it off. If it's off, then turn it on. Basically you create a JavaScript switch. But like I said, when you're a programmer or when you start coding, some of the best programs are lazy. They try to find the easiest, most direct way to create something instead of making it complicated. And this is my quick solution. Again, relying on CSS to do most of the work because it's inbuilt now. So, I mean, that stuff wasn't inbuilt when I started doing JavaScript, but all this is inbuilt into your browser now. A lot of the animation can be done straight out of CSS. So all I did is you did the main work through CSS and then just got JavaScript to toggle between those classes again. All right, hopefully that helps. I'll stop the recording now.